Hello, welcome along to Boxing Day here on the Rangers full match reaction as it finished Rangers 2, St Mirren 0. Probably one of the most comfortable home victories I've seen in quite a long time. Hello, I'm Martin, and I am joined today by Elaine. Elaine, how are you?
Yeah, very well, thanks. Merry Christmas, everyone.
Did you have to think about that there?
Yeah.
Me? Okay. Wolf, how are you?
Considering I couldn't beat Ibrox today, I'm okay, I suppose. Yeah, the result kind of helps that, but yeah, we'll get to that, I'm sure.
It is so strange to see Wolf on a reaction. I think this might be your first ever reaction, Wolf.
No, I did a couple during the COVID lockdown, but since fans have been back in, it's been my first one, yeah.
And
I wish I wasn't doing it. That's no disrespect to anybody here.
No, listen, I get it. Graham, do you want to tell everybody why you're smiling from cheek to cheek?
Just won a £170 my coupon there. MK Dons came back for 2-0 down to win 3-2. Oh, buzzing.
See, I'm just not a gambling man. I just don't get that. Right, before we get into the reaction, very quickly, of course we have Patreon and CGM is here. Good evening, CGM. CGM will keep a count of how many times I mention that. But for those of you who were complaining and moaning because you don't like Patreon, you don't want to use Patreon, I did bring back the membership on YouTube, and Sword and Shield 1872 has just joined. Thank you very much. There's a few different tiers in there that offer a couple of different things, so go and check that out if you want to help support us and get some extra content. And no, I can't change the colour of the new member thing. Unfortunately, we're stuck with that. And yes, I'm very aware that I'm wearing a ridiculous hat. But it's not coming off, so everybody deal with it. I will get to the comments soon, but let's get into the game, Wolf. And was there any surprises at all for you, in the starting lineup? Very attacking. I think that's what we all want to see, but possibly maybe get, I don't know, Bakuna a run out, get Stephen Davis back on the pitch. Any surprises for you?
Not really in the starting lineup. I mean, as the game unfolded, I'm a bit surprised, as you say, that Stephen Davis maybe didn't get some minutes. But I mean, for the starting lineup, the only thing I would have kind of wondered about was whether Hagi would have started as he did, or whether Arfield would have kept his place. Mm-hmm. But I mean, Scott Arfield's played a lot of football in the last few weeks, and he's not getting any younger. And from somebody that knows what it's like not to be getting any younger, it does take it out of you. So no, I think there's no real surprises in the lineup for me.
I don't. He's not anywhere near your age, Wolf, is he?
Oh, it's nothing like my age, but I know what it's like to get old. You know what I mean?
No,
he's younger than you.
There you go. Is he? Elaine, Stephen Davis again not involved.
Yep.
Is that starting to become a bit of a worry? Do you think maybe Gio just doesn't fancy him, or is he just giving him an extra rest?
Oh no, I don't think there's any way that it won't be because he's fancied. I think that just at this time of year, especially because we are going to have the extended winter break, it is really important that we're managing injuries accordingly. And also, as Wolf was saying, especially our older players, you know, that there's a couple of them that are probably coming to the end of their end of careers. I think a game like today, there's no point in rushing Stephen Davis back. If we'd got maybe a couple more goals, absolutely can bring him on. But a game like today, when we do have that extended break, I think given the rest that he needs, make sure that when we are back, especially if we're potentially going to be a few short, considering African Cup of Nations, etc., make sure he's fighting fit then. But no, I do think he still has a role to play under Gio.
No, yeah. Listen, I agree. I have to ask the question because it was mentioned on social media, and as we all know, social media knows everything. So I had to ask the question. Graham, I mean, overall, actually, probably, I don't know if this is fair or not, quite a boring game. It was comfortable, you know, 2 goals in the first half, but that's all it was really, wasn't it? It was 2 goals and then shot.
I was going to say the same, mate. Like saying it sounds a wee bit weird saying it was the second half was boring. I wasn't really paying much attention to it. I was paying more attention to my coupon. But a comfortable performance and a good few performances as well. Thought Morelos was outstanding and just looks much.
Because I slightly disagree with you, but we'll come to that.
Scott Wright again as well. He's done his confidence a world of good. So comfortable, and as you say, I seen somebody in the comments there, McGregor. I don't think he could have put a Sunderlander out there.
I know. They could have gave me a game. They could have honestly gave me a game. They had nothing to do. Let's come to some comments. Ali Quinn, we had complete control of the game. That's not how you spell done, Ali. Come on now. Well done, Rangers. Glad Scott Wright shot a few folk up. 6 points clear. Happy Boxing Day, Bears. GB pleased for Scott Wright. Aldo, hello Elaine, good to see you in the show. Where's Ma? Good to see you, Martin. You know what I mean?
You're always here, Martin.
I'm not always here. I'd take some time off. CGM, good evening. Aldo McNaught, Merry Christmas, ladies and gentlemen. And a lot
surely
of
that's the other way round. Lady and gentlemen.
Well, I don't know. Have you seen Graham up close? That seems to be quite a lot of the comments while talking Scott Wright. Thought he was excellent.
Yeah, Scott Wright did really well today. I mean, he took his goal well. I mean, if somebody had said to me that Scott Wright was going to score, I'd have laid very, very long odds against it being a header, to be fair. But no, he did well coming in at the back stick. He had a very, very good game. I mean, he could have had, he could have had a lot better numbers if Morelos had been on his game a bit. I mean, I agree with you when you said that you disagree about Morelos having a great game. I thought he did okay, but I mean, on another day, Morelos would have had a hat trick easy.
Yeah.
I mean, he missed some fairly good chances, but I mean, you can't complain with an easy 2-0 win. My only gripe about it is that's 2 or 3 of them we've had now since Mr. Broncos came in, and we've been 2 up early and just coasting through games. We should really be putting these teams to bed. I mean, I don't think for a second this league's going to go to goal difference, but if it does, we could rue games like this when we should be 4, 5 or 6 winning 4, 5 or 6 quite handily, And I mean, okay, today Jack Annick kept him in it. I mean, I thought Jack Annick was probably the best player on the park of both the teams. He's some fantastic saves. But that said, we should still have scored a lot more than we did, and it's not worrying because we're seeing games out, and as long as we keep the 0, then we're always going to be scoring goals. I know you like that. That's why I got that in. I know you like that.
I know. Do you know what? But it's true because we're keeping clean sheets. We're winning comfortably. I think it's just selfish for us, Elaine. That do you know what? It was 2-0. We were never in danger of losing a goal, but yet we still want 4 or 5. We should have had 4 or 5.
Yeah, I think that's the thing is that we should have definitely. There were a number of chances, as Will touched on. Morelos couldn't only just have had a hat trick in the game; he could have had a hat trick first half. So, a wee bit more clinical, and that would have been, a walk in the park. And I get nervous because if you're going into a game, 2-0, I know it was comfortable. I think it kind of goes back to the form we were showing last season, because St Mirren, I think they had 1 shot and none on target. And that was exactly where we were last season, as teams were coming to Ibrox, and time again, they weren't getting a single shot on target. So from that perspective, hindsight's a great thing, comfortable. But at 80 minutes, 2-0 up, you just don't want to give them anything. And then because, you know what it's like, especially our defence, the start of the season, if they get one back, do we become nervy, do we sit deep, etc. There's just no need. When we've got, again, I just thought before we came on, I think we had 76% possession. So it was very comfortable, but I just think we could have put the game to bed a bit quicker and a bit earlier.
Is that, Graham, is that something that's came from Gio? Because I asked the question and then I'll immediately answer it, because I don't think it is. Because I do think we created more than enough to score another 3 or 4 goals. I think Morelos is culpable for that. I think he's lost the way. He's played much better. He's passing, he's receiving the ball. Even his goal was great, but he probably should have added at least 1 or 2 more.
When I say he played a great game, I was meaning like all round. Also,
I get that.
But what impressed me about him the most is his hunger to get in. He's always in between the 2 posts now. Instead of he's not going deep as much either. But he just looks so much hungrier for goals. And then hopefully once he gets maybe another 2 in the next game, then he'll go on a run, 2 frees and whatever. But I don't think it's a Gio tactic. He shut up shop. either. I think it's just overplaying sometimes. Like Ryan Kent maybe try to cross it instead of hitting himself. Wright again a few times as well, and Aribo maybe tapping round about the box. So I think once we come back to the winter break, we should be a wee bit more clinical and ruthless.
Do you even want to touch on the winter break, or should we just leave it? Because I think
No,
it's
forget
been
it.
to death.
I think Wolf does.
Well, do you
No,
want to touch on the
forget,
winter break?
forget the winter break. This is a post match. I don't go on these very often. I want to talk about the game. I want to talk about how we played. I mean, having said what we've been saying about sitting on 2-0, what I noticed today more than previous games, and it might be because I was sitting more relaxed in the house than than in the heat of being in the ground and everybody around about, the atmosphere and stuff, was we didn't seem to be sitting back. I mean, previous games recently when we've been 2 up, we've kind of sat back in and invited pressure on us and held the game. But today we just kept going and kept going and kept going. But what the earth is that? Okay,
You can see it on. You can't see it on StreamYard. You can see it on YouTube. That's.
okay.
Right.
Do you want me to tell you what
We'll
that
take
is?
your
Well,
word for
actually,
it.
if you decide to join us as a member on YouTube, like I said, there's different perks for different tiers. Some of them you get extra content. The small one is obviously just to help support the podcast. Sorry, Elaine, am I boring you? Is that?
No,
No.
not at all.
No, sorry, I thought I was boring you there. And for this one, you get loads of different emojis. Well, so that's
Okay,
what that is.
right.
Sorry,
Right,
carry
okay.
on.
Cut me off my plane there. I forgot what
Just
I was.
make sure you don't
So
bore Elaine.
We weren't. Oh no, that's all right. I'm used to boring women, so don't worry about that.
Wolf wouldn't do that.
Thanks, Ellen. So yeah, I mean, it was noticeable today that we didn't sit in and just sit on the lead and invite them onto us, which is possible because they had no intention of coming anywhere near our goal, because I don't think they had although they had guys back, I don't think they were as fit as they probably could have been. But the thing that really grates me though, we keep trying to score the perfect goal. Instead of the ball dropping and taking a shot, we're overplaying it a bit, and we've been guilty of it for a long time, not just in the last few games. We go a couple up, we try and score the perfect goal. Mm-hmm. Just hit the thing. The decision making for the last pass is a bit kind of off sometimes, and that's only a minor criticism, because I'll take comfortable 2-0s every single week of the season. Absolutely no problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely no problem.
Every game until May, 100%. Look, Blue Ninja Morning from Tokyo. Easy win, should have scored more onwards and upwards. I thought you were sneezing there, Wolf.
Konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa, yes. Anybody in the comments, please do let us know actually where you are. Unless you're in Scotland, you know what I mean? Because that's just boring, because we're all in Scotland. So if you're in
I'm in Aberdeen, is that really Scotland?
I wouldn't even admit that. If you are in, we've got a few from Texas, Los Angeles. So let's find out where the most strange place that somebody is. Let's have a. Hey, do you think I don't know. It's the first time I've kind of seen it, Elaine. And CGM, I'm on my couch. There you go. We've got Texas there. We go howdy from Texas. And how do you pronounce that? Nicosia, Cyprus. There you go. Aberdeen. Oft feel for you, Wolf. There you go. No, Elaine, I've not really seen that since Gio's come in. That was, and maybe I'm completely wrong here, but that was the most I feel as if we've kind of overplayed under Gio.
Yeah, I think it's just really hard when you're playing a team that, given the kind of obvious problems that St Mirren had, I think even before the game, Jim Goodwin said that they were just going to park the bus, and that was their tactic. And as soon as you get the 2 goals fairly early on, I think you can kind of see how the game is going to go, and you know that there's not going to be too much pressure at the other end. But it then puts it on us to break it down, and it just becomes so difficult to do. I would agree with Wolf in that I thought it was good that we kept the pressure up, we kept the momentum up, we didn't drop off. I think that can be quite easy to do as well when it's just a sort of low block, and we did it, whatever the last game, Dundee United at Ibrox, where it was Goldson to Bassey, to Goldson to Bassey, to Goldson, and it was just, it was chronic to watch. So I actually felt that we did a lot better today at keeping the pressure on and keeping it up the other end of the pitch, when it would have been easier to just play around the back four and to kind of in order to see it out.
Yeah, no, listen, I totally agree. We looked far better than what we did against Dundee United. Graham, please talk to me about Joe Aribo. Just how good is this guy?
The form he's in right now is unbelievable. He's a joy to watch. It must be the hardest person to get the ball off it. I don't know how many times he gets the ball and he kind of goes ahead of him a wee bit and you think, oh, he's lost it, and then no, his big toe gets it, keep possession, or he actually skins the person himself. You could watch him all day, and hopefully we can keep him. I don't want to make it negative, but there'll be people watching that, obviously, and in January coming up, so hopefully we manage to keep him for at least the end of the season.
I know, look, Fog Dog says it. Velcro is the boy. Wolf, is he the best player in Scotland?
Oh, by an absolute country mile. I mean, I don't watch any other teams in Scotland, and I only see them when they play us, really. But I mean, the comment from Fog Dog was right. The ball's like Velcro on his feet. I mean, he's built like a negative, but you can't get the ball off him. He's so strong. You know what I mean? There's nothing of the boy, but he's just so strong, and his range of passing is incredible. He never gives up. He makes the odd kind of daft challenge that he's always going to get pulled up for, but that's just the nature of what he does. No, best player in Scotland by a country mile. If there's a better one, then I'd like to see him. No, by an absolute country mile.
It's actually amazing, Elaine. I mean, we've always known how good a player he was, but it just seems to be. I mean, is it fair to say since Gio came in, he's upped his player drink has been all season?
To be honest, I'd probably say all season. I think he's been excellent. Although what I would say is in the past couple of games, lost count of the number of games that he's been man of the match. It just kind of seems as if every game at the moment he's head and shoulders above everyone else on the pitch. So it'd be great. It'd be great to get him to get through January, to keep him until summer. Not to be too negative. It would also be great in summer. He's someone that we potentially really can cash in on, and of course the main thing has to be the league title and getting there, and he's a huge part. I mean, he's the best player in the squad as well, so probably the best player in Scotland, but it also puts us in hopefully a really strong position come summer where we could cash in, and we could actually really make good money on him as well.
The issue being there, Graham, is if, I think we all know who we're talking about, if a certain English Premier League team that starts with an A comes in for him, and they offer the kind of money that Steven Gerrard knows that he's worth, it's going to be very, very difficult for Rangers to turn that down.
As long as it's the number that we want, I understand. It's when we're undervalued, that's when we start to get annoyed, and you don't understand the player leaving and stuff like that. But if it's the number that we value him at, then we've got to accept it, really. Thank him, but I don't see him leaving in January, to be honest. So I'm quite hopeful.
Martin, we have to, whoever we sell in the summer, or I mean, I hope not in January, but whoever our first big signing is, we'll have to get it right and only sell him for what we value him at. Because if we don't do that, then teams are going to still say Rangers are easy. They're going to lowball all the offers and expect to get players for a song. If it's Aribo, if it's Patterson, if it's Morelos, whoever it is, that we have to make sure that we get top dollar for them. Because after you sell the first one for top dollar and they go on to do things down south, then the rest of it's easy. They don't come in with stupid offers. I mean, you mentioned Aston Villa coming in. I mean, if they came in, Gerrard will obviously know what Rangers consider all the players to be worth, but he would still probably try and lowball it, and he knows he'll get chased. I mean, there's rumours of Everton coming back in for Patterson. Well, Gerrard laughed off 8 million. So if anybody wants Patterson, they're going to have to start talking 10 or more. Because they know that Rangers are laughing off those sort of small things.
And
Elaine's laptop's just gone for a button.
I don't know, man. Elaine's getting. I don't know what's going on with Elaine today, Wolf, but she's off her game. Look at that. Look.
I noticed a glass of wine there. I don't suppose it's the first one. We'll just blame that, won't we?
It's all going horribly wrong.
I know, but look, Wolf, just on that point you're making, is it worth knocking back an exceedingly good bid for Joe Aribo in order to 100% win this league and get that Champions League money? Or do we run the risk of saying, just let's pluck a number out of thin air, let's say 20 million, right? I would find it very difficult for Rangers to knock back 20 million for Joe Aribo, right? But if Aston Villa come in and say, we'll give you 20 million, but he's so important to this team that he could be the difference. Would you say, look, we'll keep him, or would you let him go?
For 20 million or around about that figure, if the player's happy to go, you've got to remember the player has to want to go. If the player's happy to go, I would let him go. I would let him go for that kind of money, because yes, he's very important to us, but we'd win the league without him. To be perfectly honest, because I mean, Hagi would just slip into where he's playing right now. You know, I mean, the Dundee United game showed that Hagi is much better in the number 10 role, if you like, than he is anywhere else. Because we tried him out wide against Dundee United and it didn't work. Swapped him infield at half time and he was much better. So I think I don't want Joe Aribo. I don't want Joe Aribo ever to leave. I mean, I'd give him a Jim McLean 300-year contract if I could, and just tell him he's here forever. You know, just tell him he's here forever. But hopefully he doesn't go in January. Hopefully none of them go in January. If we have to sell one, then money talks. If ridiculous bids come in, then ridiculous bids come in. But yeah, I mean, if it was 20 million and he was happy to go, you can't really hold him back, can you?
I just think you have to look at the financial position that all Scottish teams are in when it comes to the kind of bids. Elaine, today, somebody mentioned it in the comments. I think Wolf just mentioned his name there, Ianis Hagi. I find it very difficult to criticise Ianis because we all know how good a player he is. But see, when he has games like today, he's just trying too hard and nothing's working for him.
Yeah, it's just not quite clicking at the moment. To be fair to him, as you say, you can't fault his work ethic. You can't fault how hard he's trying, except for, as you say, potentially just trying a wee bit too hard. Nothing's coming off for him at the moment. Dundee United, he was definitely, you know, the whipping boy, the person who was getting all the abuse, and you know, it's difficult. That said, he was much better when you moved him inside. He's so slow. So there's just, you putting him as a winger or putting him out wide is just, that's almost not fair on him, because you just know that that's not going to work. And then I felt for him coming off today because I could sense his frustration. And it's just, I think under Gio so far, it's just not worked for him. But we all know what he's capable of. And I think it'll just, hopefully it takes time. It's just a slightly different system, slightly new manager. And yeah, I still hope that he will come good. That said, again, you know, as we were talking about offers in January, if you were to, you know, not that we want to choose players to go, but if an offer came in, you would have to consider it really, because it's not someone at the moment who's kind of contributing massively.
Do you know what? Curry Muncher basically makes that point, Graham. He says, look, the thing is, Martin, it's happening far too many times now with Ianis. Is that fair? Because I never want to criticise a Rangers player. I don't care who he is, how long he's been at the club. I hate criticising. But you've got to be honest, when was the last time Hagi had a good game?
I know, I love him, and sometimes I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. I always say he's 2-3 steps ahead of some of the players, but you can't even give him that anymore. But in this run of form, it's the Dundee United game is the one that I was actually raging watching him in the first 25 minutes. But today, as Elaine says there, it's just trying too hard, and first touch isn't secure, stuff like that, and getting losing possession, stuff like that. So I hope it comes back, because when he's on form, you see how many assists he gets for us and creates goals and chances.
Yes, he is still really young though, isn't he?
I think he's 24, I think.
Is he?
I don't.
So he's not
23. Yes.
And a lot of it will be confidence.
But you have to remember though, right, that form's temporary and class is permanent. It'll come back. It'll come back for him. You know what I mean, we're only a week on from his man of the match performance against Dundee United, so let's cut the guy a bit of slack. You know what I mean?
He's 23. Ianis Hagi. Thank God.
I think there's a lot of rumours about him, and also I don't know if that's affecting his form as well, because I've heard about Galatasaray constantly since probably about the beginning of November, so you don't know if that's affecting, if he knows something's happening.
So is it not an issue for you then, Wolf? Is it just a case of just let him play through the bad form, try and find his position? Which, I mean, I'll ask you, Wolf, what do you think his position is?
I think his best position is where Aribo plays, but at the moment he's not going to get a game there because Aribo's absolutely got that position nailed down. The good thing with Hagi is he keeps trying. As Elaine was saying, he's trying too hard. He is trying too hard, but he just keeps trying. He just, you know what I mean? You could see his frustration when he went off today, because it just wasn't working for him. and it will come back. I mean, this winter break that's been brought forward because a certain team have got injuries and COVID's problems and all that will possibly do him a lot of good, because he does probably need a break away from it. You know, give him a few days off, let him come back, see what the manager wants to do with him, because it can't help him being asked to play out wide and then get shifted back inside and not have a steady position in the team. You know, that can't be doing his confidence any good. You know, because obviously the manager doesn't know where best to play him. So, but I think it will come good for Hagi. I think it will come good for him. He's also got the pressure of his name. Don't forget that. He's still got the pressure of his name. Because people see Ianis Hagi, well, his dad was an absolute phenomenal player. I mean, apart from you, Martin, the other two are far too young to remember him. You know, but he was a phenomenal player. You know, so he's got that one. He's got that pressure as well. But I think it will come good for him.
I'll have you know that Elaine's older than me, right? So don't start.
Well, you must have had a much tougher paper round than Elaine. There you go.
Oh, there we go. Hagi slagging is becoming the new trend, according to Graham. He's a Rangers man. He's a Rangers player, and we should be supporting him. That's
Correct.
what I'm saying, Elaine. That's why I started by saying I don't want to slag anybody, but when you're doing a match reaction, you have to point out who played well and who didn't.
Are you sure that's not Scotty in the comments?
It could be Scotty. It could be. Yeah.
So, no, absolutely. You know, you've got to. I don't think anyone's wanting to tear strips off him. And by all means, we can be critical of someone, and we're not saying show him the door or we don't want him to start or don't want him near the team, anything like that. I don't think any player's immune from criticism. Obviously, you were going to go on and say about Morelos still splitting the crowd. You know, could have done or did well today, but could have had a few more. But any player. As long as the criticism is well meant, I don't think there's any issue with that.
One person who was coming under severe criticism, Wolf, and that seems to have died down as of late, was a certain Mr. Connor Goldson, who again today showed that, I mean, his passing is phenomenal. The amount of attacks he sets up for us, and the whole contract thing seems to have went very quiet. And I thought again, Goldson today, who seemed to be switching positions at the back with Bassey. I did notice it a couple of times. I think what's all that about? But never mind that, he was phenomenal.
Yeah, and the criticism died down because we've stopped leaking goals.
Yeah.
I mean, when we were losing goals, you know, it was easy. Let's blame Connor Goldson. His mind's not on it. He's not signing a contract. Doesn't want to be here. All that yada yada yada. It's an easy criticism to make, and he's pinging those balls because he's getting the chance to now, because we're playing with guys out in the wide. You know, we're playing with wingers. When we were playing with these inverted number 10s or whatever it was that the previous manager had in, although it worked, it wasn't great for his long diagonal balls, because he was throwing them out to the wing and there's nobody there. And even the ones he throws up the middle, because we've got wingers, it stretches the defence, so there's a lot more space in behind. You know, so that ball's working a bit more now than it was certainly at the start of the season. But I mean, Connor's come on to his form's come right back, because, as I've said for long and weary, we've got a steady defence. We've stopped swapping the goalkeeper about. I mean, that's McGregor now played, what, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 league games in the spin, whereas that hasn't happened for a long time. You know, the defence is and it's a settled defence because of circumstance, because he's got the same defensive player. He's got Bassey beside him because there's nobody else to put in there. And they seem to have had a great relationship, whether it's because he's the senior centre half and Bassey's listening to what he's getting told and he's doing everything he's getting told, and Goldson's comfortable with that. Only they'll know that. I'm not clued up enough on that side of the game to know that. But yeah, I mean, his form's really come on, and it's no coincidence that we've stopped leaking goals, and he's playing quite well.
Ricky makes a good point, Graham. Goldson has been much better since his mad interview. I'd probably go along with that, to be honest with you. After that semi-final, his form just seems to have went through the roof.
I think obviously after that he got a lot of heat for the fans and that, so obviously he's probably to get his ideas sorted. But I think, as Wolf says, hit it the nail on the head. A settled back four with a keeper behind them, that always helps any team, because obviously you get to work off them and know their game. And I think I like what Goldson and Bassey do. Like, quite often Bassey will go as a stopper and jumps into the kind of ball, and then Goldson kind of goes deep as a cover position. So it kind of they work well together, and obviously both quite pacey. and then Kamara drops in between them and it stops counter attacks. So Gio's sorted basically all the defensive issues out in this short period of time. So it's helped the defence, it's helped us. We're in control.
Do you know what? Kamara's somebody I want to come on in a minute, Elaine, but I want to speak about Bassey for a couple of minutes because for me, since coming into that centre-back position alongside Goldson, he's been brilliant. He's not really done much wrong. By the time now we come back for this winter break, you will have Balogun, he'll be back, and you could possibly have Helander, although I'm not sure he would be starting games. But does Bassey deserve to keep his place?
At the moment, yes. Based off the kind of relationship that him and Goldson seem to have been doing. Plus also, it helps that Barisic is playing a wee bit better as well, because that takes out the conundrum of do you put him out onto the left as well, etc. One of the things that I thought was interesting as well is I don't think Bassey's in the Nigeria team for the African Cup of Nations, and obviously that can change given it's still a wee while away if players pick up injuries and he gets drafted in or anything. But if we were going in, if Balogun, I think he is in the squad, if he's away, then certainly that makes me slightly more confident going into the rescheduled games if we don't have all the players back. And as you say, Helander will obviously be first choice once he's match fit, but it just might take a bit of time. But no, I think Bassey's been brilliant, so no criticism at all.
No, none for me as well. And look, Ricky's Wolf is saying it. Bassey's been a revelation with Goldson. Many people want him dropped when Phil comes back. I would not change anything. However, CGM, of course. The four of you guys could have played in our back four today and been fine. No, honestly, my knees are gone.
He's obviously never seen me play football.
Rangers FC Brazil fans, there you go. In Brazil, Bassey can develop. He's doing really well. And CGM again. I think I think he likes Big Phil. Helander comes straight back in. So, Wolf, does Helander come straight back in?
I don't think so, because he's been out a long time. He'll need some game time. You can't just bring him straight back in. I mean, the first game back is Aberdeen up here, and if Helander's coming back, is back on the grass, you would think the three week without a game should get him fit, but it won't get him match fit. And you couldn't throw him straight back into a game against Aberdeen, I wouldn't have thought. Mm-hmm. You can maybe put him on the bench, but you certainly couldn't throw him back in. But the problem we're going to have is Balogun will be away by then, Aribo will be away by then, and if Bassey does get called up, as Elaine says, through injuries or whatever, he'd be away as well, so we might have to throw him back in. But if Bassey doesn't go away with Nigeria, then I would just leave the defence as it is. Give Big Phil game time when you can. And it wouldn't at all surprise me to find out that if we arrange a couple of bounce games, during the shutdown with whoever, if COVID rules will allow that, so that we can get a bit of game time in his legs, because there's a big difference between being fit and being match fit.
Well, less than 100%. RFC 56, Bassey's a cracking talent, still so young. Yeah, he is. But Graham Fogdog, who would honestly pick Bassey over Helander? I'm not saying that Bassey's a better centre-back than Helander. The only point I'm making is he's a young boy, he's come into a position that he's not 100% familiar with, he's took the position, and for me, until such times as he has a howler or maybe a couple of games where he doesn't play well, it's his position.
Here's one for you. Sorry, Graham, here's one for you.
Is your name Graham?
I've just had a thought, we might have to play them both. Graham, I'll throw this one to you then. We might have to play them both. What happens if Goldson signs a pre-contract and we punt him? Do we have to play Helander in beside Bassey?
I don't think that would work. I wouldn't be too comfortable with two left footers in centre. But so also you need to have Balogun. We won't have Balogun actually. So Jack Simpson, he's left footed as well. So that'll be if we sold Goldson, that'll be a struggle. 3 left footers. So I don't think I've ever seen that in my life. But if Martin was saying just before that, if Bassey, I'm on this podcast.
Normally I mute it when stuff like that happens, but Graham's straight in there. Oh, you're brilliant.
If Bassey doesn't go, then he keeps his place, because it's not very nice and not good for a team atmosphere if someone's playing so well and then you just drop them as soon as someone comes back. So it benefits both. Helander gets a chance to get fully fit and then we can ease him in, because obviously Bassey's on that for him. So that's what I would do anyway.
I kind of agree. I don't think you drop somebody who's in good form, who's playing well, regardless of who it is. You've got to come back for injury. Elaine, we'll kind of finish up the game now, but before we do, I mean, Glen Kamara. Oh, he's how much did he cost? I mean, honestly, just I've actually ran out of ways to describe just how good that man is.
Yeah, it's just the confidence you get from him as well. I just thought he strolled it again. But he always has, and he always does look. I think that was the two, especially. I think it was second half that I was saying. Kamara and Aribo, everything just goes through them, and it's the kind of out ball. But they just look so comfortable, and especially today, obviously when there isn't much of a threat.
Yeah,
it's just theirs to kind of play and spread the ball around. But no, I thought he had a great game. But then, yeah, he normally does.
I know he's so consistent, Wolf, and it's probably Kamara and Aribo are probably the two worries for me with January coming.
Yeah, I mean Kamara. I mean they were talking in the commentary today about his the position he's playing in now, since we're only playing with one defensive midfield player, and as Neil McCann said, that's the position that he thinks is his best position. It's where he played him when he was manager of him in Dundee, which is why we bought him in the first place. That's the position he was playing in when we came in and signed him in the first place. And as Elaine says, he absolutely strolls it. My only frustration with Glen Kamara is he's got an awful good habit of being on the edge of the box for the ball dropping, but he never shoots.
No, he doesn't.
Never shoots. If that ball drops to like a Hagi or an Aribo or somebody with a lot more shots in, the ball can go anywhere. But I mean, that's quite a nice little criticism to have of him if that's the only thing you've got to moan about. But I mean, the man's an absolute genius on the ball. Very rarely loses it. One stray pass today that nearly put us into trouble. But I mean, apart from that, he absolutely strolled it.
I know, and that's what most people are saying that in the comments. Where are we? Ricky's saying, look, I prefer Kamara sitting. That is his best position by a mile. And Graham Thomas is saying Kamara could play for any team in that position. And I firmly believe down south he could play for any team.
I believe that as well, mate. But even more so, I think he's suited so much to like Barcelona, Spanish football. He would be ideal for Barcelona and the state they're in just now. But he's just a joy to watch. Just so calm, and when he plays that position as well, it's as if he likes the leadership role of it. Like he knows everything goes through him. It's just him there, and he thrives off that, in my opinion. So, but he's a joy to watch.
Right, man of the match time. Elaine, man of the match for you?
Just because I don't want to go to Aribo again. I'll give it to Scott Wright. Even though,
listen, I don't think there's many that would disagree with that. Well, what about yourself, man of the match for you?
My Joe Aribo man of the match award also goes to Scott Wright.
Graham,
I was going to go Glen Kamara.
You're going to go Glen Kamara. Right, so if I go Glen Kamara, what does that mean?
Joe Aribo gets it.
I'm going to. I'm going to go with Scott Wright as well. So that's it. That's the winter break. Wolf, what are we going to do now?
Well, the first thing I'm going to do is go down to Innerleither on Tuesday and watch the B team. That's my next plan. I've bought the tickets and I'm ready to go, because obviously even that you've had to think in advance and buy tickets, because that's restricted to 500 as well. So that's my next game, just to get a Rangers fix. It's going to be difficult because obviously we were all prepared for getting into winter break after doing them at their mid. But we'll just have to see how it goes. It's been brought forward early. Obviously people are just going to have to enjoy their new year with it. Some people might go absolute tonto at New Year because they've got no football to worry about. They might just make a few days of it. But I mean, as we've been saying on here for the last kind of week or so, if anybody is really struggling, and there will be people toiling, the Rangers Rabble DMs are always open on all the different platforms, on Twitter, we've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. If you're struggling at all, drop us a message. Somebody will be there to speak to you. Same for my own DMs and on all the platforms. Same with Graham and Martin and Elaine. You know, that doesn't mean flood Elaine because she's the nicest looking of the ones on here. It doesn't mean flood her all the time. But if you are seriously, guys, if you are struggling, you're not alone. You know, we're here to help you out. And just hope we can get through this winter break and come back out the other side. I can't see supporters getting back in any great number as soon as we come back on the 18th of January. I really can't see it. I certainly can't see any Rangers fans being allowed to go to Pittodrie. Really can't see that.
No.
Has there been any update on the Old Firm B team game?
Haven't heard anything yet. That's a concern because again, it's only 500 folk. They've sold 6,500 tickets. I'm hoping they reschedule the game because I'm really looking forward to going to it as well. You know, but the problem is if they reschedule it. Sorry, Martin. My problem with that is if they reschedule it, they won't get the same crowd because they won't get the same amount of people able to go to it.
Yeah. The big problem I have now, Elaine, and it wasn't made public to us before this whole vote thing to bring the winter break forward, but it was made clear to the clubs, is that going forward now, there can be no more postponements. No matter what's happening now, you play your game, end of story, which is just mental.
I think that's the thing, is that the winter break, I always think the winter break is quite a funny time to have it because traditionally the weather up here can be worse in February. You know, potentially March as well, and there's no wiggle room. And you know, you can debate the rights and wrongs about moving the winter break back or whatever. We're kind of over that now, but I did see a couple of people talk about the African Cup of Nations because I think obviously watching Rangers TV today, Clyde Tilsley was saying as well, Morelos is out of favour at the moment with Colombia, but since Gio's back in, his numbers are getting a bit better as well. They've got World Cup qualifiers. Is it World Cup qualifiers? They've got games end of January, start of February as well. Obviously, the worry African Cup of Nations is Balogun, Aribo, potentially Bassey. They were even talking as well Arfield in Canada. Although he's not been playing for them that much, he potentially could go back into the mix. And people had been saying, well, if we've got 3 internationals away, could we ask for the Old Firm to be postponed? But I think it's been made very clear, no. That there will be no postponements, and I think as well, if you saw today, if you saw today, Dundee travelled to Aberdeen. Was Aberdeen?
Aberdeen,
Dundee travelled, and they had 14 players, 3 of whom were goalies, and they asked for a postponement, and were told no. So there is no wiggle room, and I think we're just all going to have to live with it. We're all going to have to live with the fact that teams might have injuries, COVID outbreaks, etc. You would expect that hopefully if we go far in the Cup, plus we've got the European games, we just need to make sure the squad's ready and that we've got enough bodies to kind of get through it.
It's mental. We've got Ross Bennett, no wiggle room for rescheduling games. I'm sure the SPFL will allow if a certain club go crying. I think it's got to the point now, Graham, where if a certain club go crying, even they'll be told no because there's just no space in the calendar to do it. And let's remember, it was this certain club. Do you know what? Celtic, Shatta FC, it was them. It was their fault. It's their fault now that we're in the position that we're in. That if we come back in 3 weeks' time, and I don't know, say Rangers have got 20 guys out with COVID, what happens then?
I know, they get away with it constantly. I mean, you just have to go back to the 2007-8 season. That happened then, so it's nothing new. But as Elaine was mentioning, the players we could possibly be missing. Kamara Roof's another one as well, because Jamaica play as well. Yeah. So if he's back fit, he's another one that could be called away. And then, I just hope we keep ourselves to ourselves, stroll through it, and we'll be celebrating at the end of the season. And then
let's not be too negative.
The bigger potential concern for me, from the SPFL's point of view, right, and it hopefully won't impact us. As Elaine says, the weather in February can be fairly ropey, right? Mm-hmm. So what happens if the weather dictates that games have to be postponed? Because that's happened quite a lot in the past, and it's nothing to do with the state of the ground. It's getting fans into the grounds if we're allowed back by then. You know, so they're saying there's no wiggle room. So do they risk the safety of supporters or the safety of players? I mean, that Livingston pitch, for example, right? Games get cancelled on that all the time in the winter because if it gets too cold, they can't play on it, although it's an artificial surface. So are they going to risk players by saying, look, you can't afford to postpone the game, let's just play it anyway because there's no way to reschedule it? When it's, -6 and their carpet's rock hard and it's really, really dangerous. What are they going to do? What are they going to do? Okay, they can say to teams, look, you've got enough players, play the game. But if the pitch isn't playable or the stadium's not accessible, what are they going to do then? They've made an absolute rod for their own back, and it's all at the behest of one club.
All they do is play these 2 games, get to the winter break, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah, correct.
I know, it's crazy. All it is, it's only 2 games, and the fact they're not playing these 2 games, it's mental. I mean, look, Stuart Melvin, Kyogo is injured again. League will be nothing for right, over the next few days, actually, I think the 28th.
Oh, I'm guessing it's raining. My dog's just come in and he's absolutely soaking. Sorry.
Got a fright there, by the way.
So did I.
On the 28th, Alan will be hosting your year review with Rangers, or yearly, I don't know what he's calling it, but it's a yearly review. It's a 2021 review of Rangers. And then on the 31st, Elaine, what's happening on the 31st?
The Rangers Rabble Christmas quiz.
Is
it a Christmas quiz or is it just a Rangers quiz?
It's the big fat Rangers quiz.
Oh right, sorry. The big fat Rangers quiz of the year.
There you go. I didn't steal that off of any. I didn't steal that off of any channel. That was an idea that came straight to my head. Yes, and I will allow it, Elaine. I will allow you a picture round. Yes.
Thank you. I'll get working on it. There
you go. Right, so I know that there's not going to be a lot of football over the next 3 weeks, but we shall certainly have plenty of content. And of course, after New Year, we will have all sorts of transfer shows. We might do a few watch-alongs. That was the very, very first video we ever done, Wolf, was a watch-along. And I won't pick one this time that goes to extra time. I promise.
Good.
Well, Elaine, Graham, Wolf, thank you very much for coming on Boxing Day. Thank you to everybody watching. Of course, you can. I probably shouldn't advertise this on the 26th of December, but you can join us on Patreon. Link is in the description. If you want your extra shows in audio forum, or if you like your extra shows in video forum, you can sign up and join us as a member on YouTube. Please remember and read the YouTube memberships carefully to make sure you pick the right one. I hope everybody had a fantastic Christmas. Alan will see you on the 28th. I'll see you on the 31st. So until then, stay safe and thank you very much for watching.